So hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to do your DIY Labbench Power Supply. But before we start, we are going to use high voltage, a mains voltage supply. So be careful around it. High voltage can damage you. And even though we are using a computer power supply, if it's defect or if there is a problem, it can always damage you. So if you don't have any experience in electrical engineering, please don't do this at home, or like don't try it without someone has experience with electrics. So this is the box that I will use for my Labbench power supply that I will do as DIY. As you can see, I can move with it the wheels, I can open and close it. I bought it from a store called Obi in Germany, and I also added 4 wheels on it which can move in any direction. I mounted them in the case, and the reason I did that because I wanted to be movable and easier to use on desk or on the floor or anywhere else, to be movable and much more looking better. So I connected yellow wire 12 volt to in plus of buck boost converter and black wire to in minus ground. You can see the schematic of the cables on the left side. I connected yellow wire to the digital multimeter to measure the voltage output, and red cable to the yellow for supply of digital multimeter, and ground to ground of power supply. So now to measure ampere, I connected black wire, the thicker one, to out minus, and the red cable to ground of the fan, so that we can measure ampere in series. And the blue wire, which is supply wire, 12 volt wire for fan, to the out plus. So I have 2 banana connectors. First is the black one, ground, which connects to the, like the schematic before, to red cable of the ampere meter, and the red banana for voltage to out plus. And this is a speed version how I control the fan with the banana connectors right now. As you can see, I have my ground and red cable, and I have a cable that I can stick in it, as you can see, so it's pretty useful. I opened this circuit, I put the red wires as well. Then I have crocodile connectors which are pretty useful. I put red one to the power on fan, the plus side, and to yellow cable which was ground, and when I hook it up, as you can see, the power fan is working pretty well, and I can just increase the voltage. And there is something that I want to point to you. If I increase the voltage too much, as you can see, the power stops, so be careful about that as well. And I also changed the cabling, like the cables of the potentiometer, because if you don't solder it well, it can be some disconnections and you might not be able to change the power output. And if you don't have a output potentiometer that you can change the voltage, what will happen is you will always get the highest voltage, which was 25.6 from this boost converter. And as you can see, the fan stops. Then I switch it back up again and it works. When I remove the cable, it easily stops. So let's see how our DIY power supply works. We open the switch. As you can see, our power LED is on, which I connected to 3.3 volts. So right side, the bottom is 3.3 volts. Let's measure it. As you can see, we can measure 3.4 or 3 volts with our multimeter. Then the upper one is 5 volts. As you can see, we measure a voltage of 4.9. Then the last one, the variable power output that we created. As you can see, I have 23.7, 23.6 on the digital multimeter. As I move the potentiometer, I can verify other voltages. Let's see the inside of our DIY power supply. As you can see, I have a flow right here. I accidentally didn't think about the fan, so when I am using it, either I am going to use it as open, or I should also make a hole in the upper case to let the fan have air. So I have my switch, then potentiometer, and the last one is my buck boost converter. And my power supply cable comes from the hole in the side of the power supply. And once I close the switch, which is the emergency switch that you can close immediately, I can turn off my DIY power supply.